But did you die though?
Today we're going to talk about this loser. Before we talk about him, we actually got to go back in time a little bit. I got to talk about these first. Now we all know about the September 11th attacks on the Twin Towers. The first impact was from American Airlines Flight 11. Piloted by Mohammed Atta, it flew into the North Tower at 8:46 a.m. That was quickly followed by United Airlines Flight 175. It hit the South Tower at 9:03 a.m. Now everybody know about these, but few people know about this. Another American Airlines Flight 77 hit the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m. the same day. Now, of course, people knew about this, but this was greatly overshadowed by the Twin Towers. Now, if you're one of many Americans like me, and me, then you did not know about a fourth plane. Yes, there was a fourth one. Another United Airlines Flight 93 was heading towards D.C. It is highly believed that this plane was heading towards the White House. No shade to any of the other victims that were on the other planes, but the people on this plane, they weren't going for it. Due to a coup that was on the plane, the people, they overtook the plane and they crashed it. It nosedived into the Stony Creek Township in Shanksville around 10:03 a.m. I don't care what nobody says. Nobody on that plane in particular, none of their families and grandchildren or whatever should have to pay taxes. They should all be given medals of honor. They gave it all for life, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. These events on September 11, 2001 was a turning point in American history. It really brought the American people closer more than any other point in time. And it inspired millions to do things that they never thought possible. Like this dumbass. Charles J. Bishop. Charles was a high school student from Tarpon Springs, Florida. He was about 15 years old and he was taking flight lessons. And now Charles had one big issue. It's a normal issue, but in his eyes it was a big issue. He had an acne problem. And so every time he looked in the mirror, all he could think was,
"That's a child!
And that's an ugly, pimply bitch!"
Now, apparently his pimples were so bad that his mom took him to a dermatologist. And there they got him put on some medicine called Accutane.
Accutane, for all the pimply-faced bitches out there. Accutane. It takes all the pimples off your face. It may do some other stuff too. Things like depression, make you want to kill yourself, make you want to jump off bridges. It may not actually even help your pimples.
Wait, what?
I mentioned that because that information is important and we're going to come back to it. Anyway, he was inspired by September 11th and he wanted to do something about it. But he was not inspired to do something about it in favor of America. No, for whatever reason, he looked up to Al-Qaeda. He somehow put in his head that Al-Qaeda wanted him to help them bring down America. The suicide note that he wrote explains everything. Let me read it to you. I've prepared this statement in regards to the acts I'm about to commit. First of all, Osama bin Laden is absolutely justified in the terror he has caused in 9/11. He has brought a mighty nation to its knees. God bless him and the others who helped make September the 11th happen. The U.S. will have to face the consequences for its horrific actions against the Palestinian people and Iraqi by its allegiance with the monstrous Israelis, who want nothing short of world domination. You will pay, God help you, and I will make you pay. There will be more coming. Al-Qaeda and other organizations have met with me several times to discuss the option of me joining. I didn't. This is an operation done by me only. I had no other help, although I am acting on their behalf. So he wrote the note, put it in his pocket, and decided to kill himself. Here's how it happened. January the 2nd, 2002, so actually just a couple months after 9/11, he had a flight lesson with his instructor. They were doing a pre-flight inspection on the plane, and the instructor actually had to step away for a few moments, so he was left to complete the inspection. Next thing you know, Charles started up the plane, and then he took off. Now, immediately after the plane took off, the MacDill Air Force and the U.S. Coast Guard were notified that an unauthorized plane was in the airspace. The Coast Guard even sent a helicopter to chase the plane down. They were trying to flag him and stop him like, dude, what are you doing? Stop. But Charles was determined to help Al-Qaeda, and so he was like, no, I'm going to continue. And so he did. So sometimes after 5 p.m. on January the 2nd, 2002, Charles drove their Cessna 172 light aircraft towards the Bank of America building in Tampa, Florida. Even with the helicopter following him, he was able to make his way between the 28th and 29th floor of the 42-story building and Allahu Akbar! And in the name of Al-Qaeda, he splat on the side of that building. You see that? That's all the damage he did. He flew straight into an office building and perished. It's safe to say that he was no use for Osama bin Laden. Now you may be wondering, Trey, what about all that pimple stuff that you were talking about earlier? What does that have to do with anything? Well, the reason why that was so important is because his mom got involved. So if you guys were paying attention during that little commercial, there was some side effects. Suicidal actions and depressions are side effects of Accutane. Because of this, there actually have been a lot of lawsuits on that acne medicine. And his mama was one of them. Take responsibility for what? He tried to kill people, but let's blame the acne medicine. She put a lawsuit in for Accutane for $70 million. Well, against Roche Laboratories. That's the people who makes Accutane. But you know what? I ain't mad at her. Get your money, sis. But seriously, Accutane really does have side effects like depression and suicidal actions. So, I mean, it's a legitimate thing. So, it's possible. It is very possible that it made him want to off himself. Now, my problem is, even though it made him want to off himself, where does Al-Qaeda come into play on that? I don't know, man. But in either case, the lawsuit went on for so long that, if I'm correct, I think in 2007, after about 5 years or so of her fighting, she ended up dropping the lawsuit. A moment of silence for everyone who lost their life that day. Okay, that was a long moment, man. But anyway, yeah, that's crazy, right?